Simon Luce won the Hennessy Poetry Award and is runner-up for the Patrick Kavanagh Prize just last autumn. His first collection, Jewtown, which is about the Jewtown in Cork City, will be published by Dur Press later this year. Please welcome Simon Luce.
Good afternoon, and thank you for this wonderful opportunity to read some poems about Cork, in Cork. Foot. When it was time to move to America, we left our home under cover. Father slapped me when I stubbed my toe on a jagged stone and let out a yelp. He scolded me that any sound could murder us if the Russian army heard. I do not know how long it took to creep onto the ship. I spent the weeks looking at my swollen toe, its nail black and the scab was oozing yellow through the cracks of the puce, and I felt the redness moving upwards like lava. It gave me something to look at, while others were bothering with rats, nausea and death. I woke in a hospital bed to hear Mother grumbling that in New York they could have saved it. When he saw my eyes, Father smiled and held my leg like a prize, gripping the stump in his palm. An artificial foot cannot feel the stone or gravel or the cracks of Blackrock Road or Albert Quay. But I knew I now was rooted here, one slow step after another planted in the city. As Patrick just said, my collection, Jewtown, is due for publication later in the year, and it charts the journey of a number of Jewish immigrants from Lithuania to Cork, probably by accident. I think the story goes they were aiming to go to New York and misheard the word Cork on the ship. I'm not quite sure if the story is true, but I like it. They started off as peddlers and going door to door, and many of your, if you're from Cork, families probably had someone calling to the door for their weekly payment for goods. They started doing well, and these poems here chart around the middle of their stay in Cork. The Shabbos Goy. There are ways for a kid to make a few bob round here. I heard you'd get a wage from lighting fires for Jew men on the Sabbath. When he presses a penny in my hand that first morning, I run so fast down Albert Road, I drop the coin. For a minute, the city stops, and I have to watch it dance across the cobblestones until it tinkers between two grates as if deciding what to do, landing on a clod of leaves glued with dust and dirt and city grime, out of reach from my sooty fingers. I stare down, afraid to leave it on its own. Lost something? It's the Jew man passing by. He finds another coin in his pocket for me. An investment, he says. You might remember this one day. Mary Daly, who was a servant girl in a Jewish house. Sometimes she shows me how to make the bread, the special one they like on the Sabbath. In silence, except for affirmation or a gentle hand to sway me right. At the sink, I watch the salt soak up the blood from fish and meat, smell the sweetness of their soup, or gaze as gherkins float in brine like goldfish, until one day he plucks one out, crunches, winces, knots, and offers one to me. When I get home each week, Mother makes bacon, sausage, pudding. Always asks, are those Jew men treating my daughter right? and somehow I feel betrayal with every bite. Jewish people in Cork, sadly the story ended last week with the deconsecration of the synagogue in South Terrace. I suppose the community died off by the 1930s in reality, but kept going just about until last week when everything, I suppose, came to an end. I decided for my last poem that I'd go back to Lithuania, to Kovno, Kaunas, modern-day Kaunas, where these Jewish people came from, just to, I suppose, see if I could find some poetry there, and I guess this is what came from it. The Choral Synagogue, Kaunas. A man in a hat watched my wife take a photograph outside the gate. He was waiting at the door like my dad did after discos, and he smiled as if he knew I was home for the weekend. "You're back," I wanted him to shout as he shook my hand and nodded at my wife, a resigned acceptance. Inside, we spoke of Yiddish, Litvaks, liberal Jews, and he asked me for my name. I know we hoped we'd share a root, a segment, even a vowel. But everyone, Mofsavich, Crystal, Lieb, wore shakes of his head. We compromised on a random surname, the closest we'd get to a family tie, and it was enough for us. Thank you very much.